So hello everybody, my name is Angeline and I'm from NTUC Women and Family, your host for the day. So a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all joining us in this midday webinar session. So I think we have about 100 over people here. So I think we did have quite a strong turnout. If you know of any friends who are supposed to be here, do let them know that the webinar is starting or already started. Get them to join us for today. So I just wanted to share a little bit more with you. So brought to you by NTUC Learning Hub, NTUC Employment and Employability Institute, and NTUC U Women and Family under the Women Returning to Work initiative. Today's webinar will provide you with actionable advice, such as learning how to build your network, as well as interview tips, including navigating through tough questions and how to better position yourself. So today, we are delighted to have with us here today Ms. Lim Chai Ling, Senior Director of Banking and Financial Services from renowned employment agency Randstad Singapore. Hi, Ms. Lim. So good to have you here. Hi.
Hi, thanks, Angeline. Hi, everyone. This is Chai Ling from Randstad Singapore. Maybe what we can do right now is to start the sharing session, if you may allow me to actually share my screen now.
All right. Are we still waiting for more attendees to come? If not, I think before we dive into the heavy content, right, maybe just let me share a little bit more about the work that we do at NTUC Women and Family. So if you are wondering, right, what we do over at NTUC Women and Family, essentially we strive to be the voice for working women by providing you, so all of you get included with choices through new and alternative career pathway. So protecting on the choices that you make through harnessing safety nets at the workplace and supporting you through your different life stages, so as to allow you to maximize your fullest potential and to reach for the stars and beyond. So that's it. It's just a very quick introduction, and I just wanted to share, you know who to look for if you require any assistance on workplace matters. So I'd like to take this opportunity to also share, if you have any burning questions throughout the course of this session, I strongly encourage you to ask away in the chat box, and we are going to be here to help you address them at the Q&A segment later. So make yourselves comfortable, grab your lunch if you haven't. So without further ado, let me just hand over the time to Chai Ling. Chai Ling, thank you so much. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Angeline. Yeah, so welcome everyone for joining me during these lunch hours. Today I will be sharing some tips and information about how to prepare yourself to return to work in the new year. So this is actually me and my family. I have a 2 teenage daughter, Ashley, 14 years old, as well as Jareen, 12 years old. And similarly to maybe some of you out there, I actually made a decision to leave my previous companies 9 years ago to realign my career objectives when my daughters were still very young then. I actually resigned without a job, and I actually took a break for 3 months before Randstad came along. So at that point of time, the decision that I had to make was not just for myself. I had to take into considerations for the young family that I have to care 9 years ago, and also because of their close age gap, right? So today's topic, returning to work in the new year, I hope that you will benefit for the information and tips that are shared today, and also make you feel more confident and well prepared during your job hunting. So let me share with you a little bit more about Randstad. Randstad is a Fortune 500 companies. We are headquartered in Amsterdam with offices across 39 countries globally. And in Singapore, we are the largest specialized HR recruitment company. Our purpose is to help organizations find great talent and play as a career advisors to candidates who are actually looking for a job. In Randstad, we believe in creating equal opportunities for all genders. 68% of our total workforce is female, and 56% of all management positions are filled by females as well. We proactively run social campaigns to raise awareness about gender equality. Next, allow me to share with you one of the videos we prepared during one of the recent social campaign. And let's hear Susanna and her stories.
I was working for a national cancer charity before I went on maternity leave when I had my son. I had been at the charity for about 8.5 to 9 years. My maternity leave was, I was able to take up to a year, but I went back after about 9.5 months. And I think what I found really quickly was the things that were important to me now as a mom were not important to the people in my team who didn't have children. And I was the only person in the team who had a child. I wasn't particularly fulfilled or satisfied in my role, but then half of them was thinking, well, you've just had nearly a year off, that's why. It was only when I got a call from a recruitment consultant saying, look, there's an organisation who are looking for a senior position, are you interested? And suddenly it was like a little light bulb had gone on over my head. I thought, oh no, that's what it is. It isn't that I don't enjoy my job or that I want to be at home with Sam particularly more than I am. It's that it's time to move on. I think when I took that amount of time off, it made me much more conscious of my time. It made me much better at my time management, and it made me realise that if I was going to be doing things, I wanted to be doing things that really fulfilled me and that I enjoyed. I guess if I had any advice for employers about how to deal with someone who's coming back from maternity leave, remember that this was a useful member of staff before they went away. Remember their track record and everything they delivered. People will absolutely go above and beyond to deliver for an organisation and an employer they feel is helping them out and is being flexible. To mums going back to work after maternity leave, I would say that while you're on maternity leave, use every opportunity to stay in touch, whether those are formal or informal. I know it's hard and it's very difficult when you've got a small child to be thinking about anything outside of that small child, but if you want to slot back in, it's not going to be as easy if you haven't tried to keep in touch and tried to make a bit of an effort. I am really grateful that my employer is flexible enough to allow me to work 4 days a week, because we've all heard horror stories of employers who just either make people's lives so difficult that they leave or make them redundant or sack them while they're on maternity leave. I think if I didn't have that day at home with Sam, we would both be missing out. I'm really grateful that I get that time, and I think we both really benefit from it.
Yeah, so many people like Susanna will feel disengaged from their boss and colleagues, and anxiety about returning to work after taking time off to care for their baby children or even family members. To find a role that will allow her to balance between caring for her baby as well as an employer who is supportive and understanding of a home situation is important. We have to acknowledge that gender gap will always be there, as we women hold multiple roles in our daily life: an employee, a mom, wife, daughter, etc. In Singapore, the female labour force participation rate in Singapore was at 61.2% at 2021, and the difference in gender pay package gap was about 4.3% in year 2020, and it has significantly improved from year 2002. The female board representation among the 100 listed companies was 17.6, which falls short of the 2.4% from the target that was set by the Council for Board Diversity. So what actually attributes to gender bias? The first one is motherhood penalty. And because of the multiple hats a woman needs to wear, there's this perception that women won't be able to manage or fully commit to the job obligation. And hence, it may result in a slow promotion or even pay rise. The second thing is maybe, women tends to be deemed as being too emotional. We are certainly different from men, as how we respond to situations is also slightly different from the men. Us women tends to be more emotional and empathetic, and as a result may seem to be less decisive as compared to men who are assumed to be more logical and able to make firm and quick decisions. However, what we have noticed during the pandemic is that employees prefer to have empathetic leaders who make an effort to understand their circumstances from the changes in their life. And of course, the third one will be the unconscious bias that will always exist, that men has better leadership qualities and work competencies, and as a result, that might outshine in terms of women, in terms of pay package, as well as career development opportunities. In recent years, we have seen governments as well as companies globally running many big and small campaigns on gender diversity. And why is it even more important now to raise the gender equality awareness? New perspective that could create new business opportunities for the company. And it's basically the fact that women, we are more intuitive, we are more holistic and creative. Hence, the new balanced perspective coming from women could help to create more business opportunities for the company that they may not have thought about before that. And for companies that stands out from its competitors, having an equal gender to fund customer relationship, where women have a different style of handling customers, exercise more patience and empathetic towards customer needs. And the third one is having a more diverse gender demographics will help companies to have better EVP and hence help in talent attraction. So just give us a minute.
Yes, hi, Chai-Ling, we can see you now. Thank you.
Sorry, my
It's
marketing
all right.
communication just mentioned to me that cannot see me. Okay, so in the next few slides, I'm going to walk you through how to prepare for the transition back to the workforce. So step one, be prepared yourself in terms of mentally, right? I will encourage women to basically speak to your families and friends about your decision to go back to work. And the discussions can actually include the type of industries that you like to join, the job function, as well as the commitment to work, whether is it going to be a permanent role that you're going to look for, a contract, or even a part-time job. Secondly, it's to ensure that you have planned out and make adjustment on your home front before you start applying for a job. If you have made all the necessary arrangements for you to rejoin the workforce, you will be able to handle interviews well, as you will be able to articulate when being prompted questions about your home front, especially if you have actually taken a break from work. And the third one is be kind to yourself. Do not stress yourself out, even if you get rejected from job applications or interviews. Finding a right job takes time, and the more interviews you attend, you will perform better in the next interview. Now, step two, make a list of female-friendly workplaces. Nowadays, videos as well as media channels are easily accessible, as companies will publish their EVP, mission, as well as some of their employee stories online. You can research those companies that offer hybrid, part-time, or their approach towards gender diversity. You can also browse social media channels, as well as look them up on Glassdoor, LinkedIn, or even Google to have an idea what the environment works like, because usually the ex-employees will actually write their comments on all these media channels. Here are some of the organizations that have committed themselves to create a work environment to help women back into the workforce. DBS, for example, they have announced in November 2020 that they will be rolling out job sharing to support employees who need more flexible work arrangement and fits well to women who may want to balance between work as well as caring for families. Infineon has also set a target to achieve 15% of women in management position, and is committed to hire, retain, as well as develop a woman workforce. Step 3, create a supportive professional network. Even though you may not be working, you can make an effort to keep in contact with your ex-colleagues, your contacts, and network whom you have worked with you before. And before you start your job hunting, do make sure that you update your LinkedIn and your social profile page to create value for yourself. It will help you to be more visible and also more searchable when hiring managers or recruiters are trying to find candidates like you. You can also join and participate in professional communities in LinkedIn as well as Facebook to get help and support from others like you. And last but not least, you can also work with recruiters like us to keep you posted on job opportunity, as well as to help you find an employer which will be able to provide a work settings that meets your needs. Step 4, I think it's important to really keep an open mind when you are looking out for a job. Be open to explore whether it's a part-time, contracting, or temporary positions if a permanent role is not available. This can actually help to ease the transition back to work gradually, than to immediately take on a permanent role. Or you can also try exploring for a contract to perm, or discuss the possibilities of participating in a new project to get yourself more in tune with the job. And another useful tips is to upskill and reskill to build your career. Do find time to upskill and reskill yourself during your free time, because this will create a good impression with prospective employers that you have made an effort to take time out to develop yourself by learning new skills. Next, I'm going to share with you some interview tips that may be helpful when you are preparing from a job interview. Tips number 1 is to be upfront about your gap year. Share with the interviewer why you made the decision to leave your previous employment, be it voluntary or involuntary, and the reason now that you are looking to rejoin the workforce. It can be due to improvements in home situation. It could be financial, or it could be for professional development if you take some time off to upgrade yourself. Share with the interviewer how you also keep yourself relevant and updated, even though you are unemployed at the moment. If you take time off for family reasons, you can also highlight the soft skills that you have gained as a mother or caretaker for a family, such as planning, organizing, and being more empathetic, as well as patience. Second tips is to use appropriate keywords in your resume to make your profile more searchable and as well as visible. Recruiters or HR look out for keywords relating to technical and soft skills, so make sure that you include all this in your resume. Elaborate on the soft skills that you include in your resume that will help the reader to understand how that impacts your work. Ensure that you use the keywords that add value to the role you are applying for. For example, if you are applying for a customer service role, you should not write introvert to describe your personality traits, because that wouldn't help in terms of your CV being shortlisted. Include job achievements rather than to write a general job descriptions of the function. A recruiter or in-house HR, we generally do not spend too long to read a resume. Hence, a well-structured as well as a bullet point resumes and as well as highlighting the achievements will increase your chance of being shortlisted for the particular position. Okay. Tips number 3 is to, again, prepare you, some of the interview questions that you may be asked during the interview session. So it is important that you'll be able to share the reason for leaving the workforce, and why are you returning to the workforce now, and how do you plan to juggle, right? If you were to come back to the workforce, how do you plan to juggle in terms of motherhood? Taking care of the children, taking care of the family, as well as being able to perform in terms of the role expectation that's required of you. And how do you keep your skills up to date? Is to prepare yourself to share some of the skills and knowledge that will be able to meet the role expectation. So do prepare to read through in terms of what are the job requirements and some of the soft skills that is needed and will add value to the role that you're applying for. And also some of the skills that you have developed when you're not working, right? So these are some of the questions that I thought it'll be good for you to prepare yourself, when you go for an interview, in case some of these questions were to come up during your interview session. And you should also prepare some questions to ask the interviewer as well, such as their management as well as their communication style at work. You can also ask them if there's any expectation to respond to calls, emails, or even meetings outside official work hours, as well as weekends, to see whether are you able to, work in this type of work settings that will require you to attend some of these meetings after hours as well as on weekends. What are the expectations from you as a candidate within the 6 months? I think that's also important to understand what are the key deliverables that you are expected to deliver to the role. What's your favorite part about working in the company? And that would also requires you to do a bit of research on the company culture, as well as what you believe in terms of being part of the organization. And the last one is in terms of the work environment. It would be helpful if you were to seek clarification whether the work requires collaboration or is more independent by nature. If the role is more of an individual contributor, you might be able to manage and work around your schedule as compared to a role that will have an impact on your colleague if the task is not complete on time or in tandem with the rest of the team. So if you're able to demonstrate the above, you will be able to find yourself considering different job opportunities as well as handle job interviews well. So while you can subscribe to career portals to find your next dream job, you can also consider working with recruiters like us. In Randstad, we have different industries as well as functional recruitment specialists to help clients find talent who can fulfill their business needs, as well as candidates who are specialists in certain function. You can register with us so that we can keep you posted on job openings, as well as find you as a potential candidate through Perfect Match. So please find the QR code for Perfect Match as well as a QR code for the salary board, where you will be able to get a free personalized salary reports. Yeah, so that marks the end of my presentation today. And later on, we'll consolidate the questions that you will have, and we'll have a Q&A session after this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Hai-Ling, for your valuable sharing. I think I really resonated with some of the points that you have brought forth, and I think you brought about some very useful tips. So I also do see questions coming fast and furious, so keep them coming. We will address them later. So for the next segment of this webinar, I would also like to invite Joelle from NTUC Learning Hub to share a 5-step process to support you to make a return to the workforce. So over to you, Joelle.
Hi, thank you, Angeline. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Oops. Shit. Okay, thank you for speaker Charlene for the speech. Okay, so next, good afternoon to all participants. My name is Joel. I'm a course consultant from NTUC Learning Hub. Okay, so next we have prepared this 5 steps journey for all the women that are trying to get back into workforce. So basically for step 1, we'll like to know what are the pathways available. So basically we have a SUS program, professional conversion program, and business skills. For SGUS program will be mainly for those who are currently unemployed, and then this will also get a monthly allowance. For PCP program will be more for corporate. So when you are actually going back right away into the company can send you for this program to convert your skills. And let's say you are not ready to go back into the workforce, you can actually explore our business skills. So to upskill yourself before you actually step back into the workforce. So next, to know yourself, understanding your career aspirations, your skills, your strength through our career agility hub. So for this career agility hub, right, there will be a pre-employment to actually get to know yourself better, and then to know the next steps on how to return to workforce. So for third step, upskilling yourself. Once you have established your strengths and aspirations, you may also speak to our consultant to register your preferred pathways. Then next, we do have a collaboration with E2I. This is a career resilient executive workshop. It will be a one-day workshop to provide you with to stand out in the upcoming career fair. Topics will include job search strategies, resume writing, and interview techniques. So next, there will be the career fair that you can actually join in. So this one will be announced later. Okay, and next. Okay. So here we will help you to kickstart your momentum. We actually have 7 pointers that you can actually consider. Okay, the first one will be your reflection of your career break. Find the main reason why you took the break and why you're coming back into the workforce. So this will help you find the motivation so that you will know why are you coming back and to find the career that you want. Okay, next, review of current achievements to understand what is the achievements that you have up to date, your previous work or your previous certifications. Okay, next, determine what you want to achieve. So when you review your achievements, you will need to determine what you want out of a job, setting a direction for yourself, what you want to be next. And next. Okay, so in understanding yourself, you will also need to gain exposure to different work opportunities and environment. Then networking is important so that you can have a better understanding of the work environment before you actually step back into the society. Okay, familiarize with current trends. Understanding the current trends and technologies is also important because nowadays technologies and trends are actually moving very quickly. So we have to actually understand what are the current trends in the market before you actually step back into the workforce. Okay, improving your skills. This will actually link back to reviewing your current achievements. So when you know what your current achievements, you review your skills. So you will have a direction. What do you need to upskills, like soft skills, language skills, or even productivity like Microsoft skills. So this is where you can improve yourself and then in a way to also value add your resume. Okay, so last but not least, securing the job. So attending interviews and securing the job itself. Okay. So this is the Career Resilient Executive Workshop that is collaboration with E2I. So the workshop objective for one day, there'll be mindset, embracing the strength, networking and job search strategy. As mentioned, resume writing and interview techniques will be inclusive in this workshop. Four important skill sets that recommended for women to actually before heading back. So the first one will be skills for digital workplace. This is a technology course. So it will actually give you it will give you the idea, and then trainers will go through like the current trends, the market aspects that this course will go through. And for the other three will be the Microsoft courses. These three are essentials for almost all of the job industries. Like you will actually need them for basic work, Microsoft Word processing, Excel spreadsheet, presentation. So presentation, we do it almost most of the time for all the meetings. So this is one of the skill set that will be good to have. Okay, and next. Okay, so these are we actually have a few pathways that is set so that you may want to follow. If let's say you do not know where to start, you can kickstart from here. These are mainly for the first one will be for entrepreneurs. So as mentioned, skills future for digital workplace, then implement a business plan, business model, cakes and pastry is for the baking, then coffee, and content marketing strategy and e-commerce campaign management will be more for digital marketing. So for digital marketing now is in the trend. So these two will actually give you an entry to what is digital marketing, and then marketing strategy will give you the strategy to actually plan out if let's say you are going to start your own business. Next. Okay, this one will be more for project management professionals. If let's say you executive level, you are going into project management, or you want to explore into project management to put yourself value at your resume for employers to actually take a second look at your resume. Yeah, okay. Project management will be an introduction to what project management is. So you go through the different methodologies that there is. Then agile approach. Agile will be the methodology for project management. So there are a few courses under agile. So basically agile approach, agile innovation, agile team facilitation, scrum master, and agile coaching. These are all under the agile methodology, which will give you the substantial knowledge and essential knowledge to actually go into the project management pathway. Okay, and for data analytics, okay, data analytics is I would say currently a very hot market job scope. So there are a lot of trainees who actually came in and actually looking for this. So this is a preset pathway, of course, depending on which platform you're looking at. First will be fundamentals of PDPA. So you will need to understand what is the essential of PDPA, what can be used, what cannot be used, what is the pros and cons. ICTL data analytics, prior to the ICTL data analytics, this will also requires the Microsoft Excel. So that's why you actually start with Microsoft Excel first before you move on to data analytics. So for data analysis, using pivot table and Excel, and then Python, QuickSense, and also Power BI. All these courses, they are using data analytics with the basis of Microsoft Excel. So you still need a Excel base before you actually move on to these courses. Okay, then okay, basically these are the courses that we actually set up. And last but not least, if let's say you are keen to find out more about the courses, you may scan the QR code. Then there will be a course consultant to reach out for the enquiries. Okay, I will pass back the Q&A to Angeline.
Thank you, Joelle. Thank you. Maybe I just give them some time to scan the QR code, so we just hold the slide a little bit more. So I was quite overwhelmed. Thanks so much for sharing and asking questions so candidly. There are so many questions coming in. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, but let me try my best. to throw up some questions and to summarize them. So I think one broad category that I see is about resume. So I think one of the questions was that, some of the questions that mentioned, like, how do you reply if, there's actually like a career gap of no more than 10 years or even a certain year. So how do we address that so that, we can have more chances at scoring an interview? Charlie, would like to take that question?
Yeah, I can. So if let's say you have a prolonged period, of taking a career break, like what I mentioned earlier, first of all, you have to acknowledge that, yes, there was actually a gap of 10 years, but you need to basically share with the interviewer, what did you do over the last 10 years, right? You need to clarify in terms of whether, are you a stay-home mom? Is it because you need to care for your elderly parents? And in addition to the responsibilities that you are carrying for your family, it is good to include maybe some of the part-time jobs that you have actually, maybe do for a short term of 2 to 3 months, for example, even with helping a friend in a business. Because that would actually shows that, you actually do get yourself involved, in a commercial world, and you actually go out there to basically network with people, right? So I think that is actually one factor where you can actually share some of the short-term assignment that you've picked up, or if you have been, let's say, maybe the last 10 years you have actually attended or take a diploma, for example, a graduate diploma or even a degree, you can actually include that as well, because that actually shows that you are actually progressive and you are actually looking to reskill and upskill yourself to prepare to come back into the workforce.
Okay, I see. So I think someone chimed in and asked, so I think at this point, right, usually when you share a little bit more about, what I've been doing during your career break, so is it necessary to put that in your LinkedIn profiles or even your CVs, like during this career break, what you have been doing?
I think in terms of LinkedIn profile, it's not necessary because the idea of LinkedIn profile is to basically, it's a professional platform for networking. It is not a place where you write your resumes, but you need to indicate in terms of their career break in your resume to basically highlight the fact that, yes, I may not have been working, but you can put down in bullets form, what have you been doing, be it a part-time assignment, studies, or you learn a new skill. You can actually include that in your resume.
Okay, thank you. So I think the next question is pretty straightforward. So I think based on your expertise, maybe Charlie, you can also share. So someone asked, so how many bullet points should you indicate for the most recent to the previous job experience? So like ideally for each job, how many bullet points that should be?
Yeah, I would say 5 to 8. 5 to 8 is good enough if you really highlight on the key skills. Remember, do not write your job description in your resume, right? It is important to have an achievement-based resume and cater to the type of a job that you are applying for, so that you are able to highlight the soft skills as well as the technical skills that is actually required of the job. And that will actually raise the chance of you being shortlisted for an interview.
Okay, so I think the next one is a bit on mid-career switch and also like, how to score, how to get a better chance at scoring an interview. So I think a couple of them was also shared quite candidly that, they're actually doing a mid-career switch, and they actually even took up a 6 months SG United mid-career full-time program. So they met the ATS system, but they're still unable to get a role. So what are the chances to actually how to raise their chances of actually scoring an interview? And how is the best way? Are there any other tips to better prepare their resume more effectively, taking consideration of the ATS system in place itself?
Yeah, so I think in terms of a mid-career switch, what I would suggest is find a different way to present your resume across. Because it is only useful if, let's say, you're applying for a direct fit job, that you actually arrange your career in your resume in terms of chronological order, right? The period of time that you work in the company, as well as what are the key achievements that you had in the previous one. But if you're talking about in terms of a mid-career switch, what you're looking for is actually how you can leverage your skills, right? As well as the knowledge or the network, the context you have actually built over the many years to bring into a totally new job function, right? And also highlight maybe some of the key achievements that you have achieved in your previous career, and how did you make that happen, right? Because all these are actually skills and knowledge that you can bring with you no matter where you go, and it is not job specific. And that will actually, helps to maybe increase your chance of, being shortlisted, based on, again, the Boolean search string that recruiters or internal TA will actually use the applicant tracking system, right? They'll go in and run through, sift through the many resumes that have actually gotten from the job application. Yeah, so using the correct keyword language in your resume is actually very important.
I see. Yeah, I think that's very, very valuable for myself as well. Yeah, so the next point, I think is summarized under employment related. So one of the questions that came in was, can we request to exclude unfair terms in employment contract? So I think this is a little bit subjective. So yeah, what's the advice on that?
In terms of unfair terms means what?
Yeah, so I think it's a bit subjective. So I think I may be referring to, like, for example, additional job scope, like, this is something that's outside of the expertise, and then you are required to do so and so. I'm just inferring from based on the context of the question was asked.
Okay. I think in such situations, if you are being asked in terms of to perform beyond your responsibilities and all those, I think it's good to present the fact of what have you gotten out from doing the additional task or the responsibility that was dedicated to you, right? Because I think nowadays, what employers are looking for is really the proactiveness as well as the adaptability or agility of an individual to take on additional portfolio or to take on different tasks, right? So I think as a candidate, as a job seekers, you should display that type of open mind, to either talk about in terms of, how you are agile enough or adaptability enough to basically try different things, or the willingness to take on additional either work responsibilities or tasks that is actually given to you that may not fall within your job responsibilities.
Okay, I hope that addressed your question. So if we interpreted it incorrectly, please holler us in the chat box, so we'll try to address it again. Yeah. So another question that came through was, when is the appropriate time to ask whether flexible working hours allowed for a full-time job? Is it during the job interview itself, or when you get the job offer, and then when you really go into the company and then you start asking for them?
I think first of all, you need to clarify first, right? To understand whether the job is offered on a permanent basis, or is it going to be a part-time, or is it going to be a contractual sort of arrangement with this particular employer? Because that will actually determine how you're going to position yourself for the rest of the interview, right? So if you were to understand that this is going to be a permanent work, so what you can do to understand is, okay, so at this current moment, when hybrid work is really common, with, keeping half the workforce at home and the other half of the workforce in office, what is the company practice, right, towards in terms of the work settings? Yeah. So I think we need to be general in terms of when it comes to in terms of trying to find out what is the work settings in the company, rather than to put it that it's going to affect your decision whether or not you want to join the company or not.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one is a little bit tricky. So I think it's pertaining to Randstad's criteria. So I think someone actually shared that they submitted some applications at the Randstad website before, but unfortunately they have heard no news. So maybe want to share a little bit more about, what's the criteria that the Randstad recruiters are actually looking at when they shortlist candidates, and what's perfect match? That's first part of the question. So the second part of the question is, what's actually perfect match all about? So if they do have career gaps here, so how do you actually meet the 100% perfect match for your clients?
So basically, let me talk about perfect match. In fact, it's actually algorithm that we built in our database to help us match the candidate with the job order that we are helping a client to fulfill, right? So for example, if today I were to find, let's say, a credit risk manager with 10 years of work experience, right? So if, let's say, in your resume, you happen to have the credit risk manager job title, and, you know, based on in terms of the way that we set up in terms of our database, your profile will come up as like a perfect match for the job that the recruiters are working on, because we won't be able to sift through all the resumes in our database, but we have actually inbuilt this engine to help us to sift out resumes that actually fits the type of a role that we are working on. And what will trigger is the next step is the consultant will actually approach the candidate, whether via email or whether via phone call, and share with them the opportunities in the market. And that's where we will then go through the details of their job history, and also to clarify, maybe if there's a career break in between, to clarify in terms of the you know, what did they do during the career break, and what sort of skills do they feel that they will be equipped to perform that particular opportunities that we are sharing.
Okay. So some questions are, I think, some personal tips required. So the first one is, can you share the skill competency questions that recruiters will usually ask, so that, you know, all our women here can do well for such interviews and speak to the hiring managers of the firms?
I think first of all, one of the most common one is time management skills, right? Especially for working mom, we only have 8 to 10 hours at work, right? So most of the common, you know, sort of questions that hiring manager like to ask is, can you share with us one or two that demonstrate in terms of your time management or organization skills, or even multitasking skills, right? So this will actually be useful if you are able to articulate how your daily life is like, even as a mom, you know, how do you allocate time for yourself to upskill yourself, to reskill yourself, or to even allocate some time for social networking, right? To maintain the network in the market. So all these behavioral sort of, questions usually will come out after the technical assessment of the job. The second part is usually the behavioral sort of interview questions. So be prepared to talk about 2 to 3 skills, and think of your work examples or your life examples that you can actually share with the interviewer, how you demonstrate all these skills.
Got it. Okay, so another one is, I think the wait, right? You know, between getting an interview and then, you know, getting a response is very painful. So I think someone also asked, how long will you advise us to wait for a response before giving up hope, right? You know, there's really no hope of scoring that job.
I would say typical response should be within a week, you know, to really allow them to sift through the CVs and identify who are the maybe well-suited candidate for that role. So usually you should be able to hear response within a week. If you want to follow up, you can actually do so by either calling in or drop an email to follow up on your application. Right.
Okay. So another one is that, you know, what's the typical feedback that recruiters hear from employers about career returners which they are rejected? So I think someone who asked this question wanted to hear what's the general consensus about, you know, what's the reject reason, so that they can improve themselves further and work from there.
I think some of the common feedback sometimes we hear from employers is, first of all, the candidate doesn't seem very sure that they want to return to work, you know, and they basically do not share in terms of their skills or experience on how they can actually contribute to the organization, or how they can actually leverage on their experience as well as their skills to the job. But they tend to center a lot of questions about in terms of, like, you know, the work hours, you know, what sort of training, what sort of support.
Okay, thank you, Thailing. So I'm just reading through some of the questions that are coming in. So I think someone actually addressed the portion where we mentioned about unfair employment contract terms. So I think one of the terms that they highlighted is actually like cannot work with competitors after they left their current company. So that's just one example. So another one is having to bear company losses. It's due to the company negligence.
Yeah. I mean, usually these terms and conditions will be included in the employment letter, and it's usually specific to a certain industry or trade, right? So what I can suggest to you is, if you are going to sign employment letter that has all these clauses, you may want to clarify with the prospective employer about, how enforced is the clause. Because if you are operating in a very niche industry or trade sector, usually there will be a period where either they say that you cannot join an immediate competitor, right? Based on maybe the product knowledge or the client contact that you may obtain during your current employment. Yeah, so I think when it comes to this sort of situation where there are certain terms and conditions that may not be acceptable to you, you can actually clarify with the employer before the contract signing.
Okay, so I think we'll just take some more questions. I do see some questions that are more technical, which is about LHUB. So I hope that my LHUB colleagues can reach out to all those that ask the questions about like SG United and LHUB courses. Please help us to address the question. So I think this one is a little bit more personal. We take it back from all the interview questions and all. So I think someone asked, Chai Ling, could you share on how, can you personally share about, how you took why you took a career break, why you return, and how you manage the home front after returning? Because I think there was another lady who also asked, how does one, take time away to work to care for the family, and then you transit back to work? It can be quite challenging. So how do you manage all of that? I think it's more of a sharing from your personal self via all these ladies with us here.
Okay, so basically at the point of time 9 years ago, I decided to leave my previous employer was because during then, my two daughters, they're still very young. I still remember one was like 4 years old and the other one was only like 6, right? So I felt that, the work pressure coming from employer, as well as caring for a young family, that I am not able to give my full commitment, right? So I think this is something that a lot of women are being caught in this sort of situation. So, can I really balance both, or do I need to basically, make a commitment to either between the work or the family, right? So that was exactly that, that juncture where I felt that I needed to take a step back and think it, because end of the day, if I can't be good at both, then it's something that I need to reconcile within myself, right? To prioritize what is really more important for me. Right. So that was the thought process that I ran through, and literally just sit at home, make up the room, toilet train the young ones, and make sure that, I do have some quality time with them. And so towards the 3rd month, it's also a time where I felt that, do I really want to stay home for that long? After 3 months, do I really foresee myself to do the same routine over and over again, right? And that's where Randstad came along, and I actually, spoke to the senior leadership team here in Randstad, and the impression that was given to me, it is a very people organization, right? They care for their employees. I read about the mission. I read about their value systems on the website, and I felt that, yes, this is something that resonates with me a lot about, being a people-oriented company, what they can do for their people. And that's why I said that, I'm keen to be part of Randstad, right? And that's how I make a decision to join Randstad in 2012. And it has been a very wonderful journey, I would say. Really resonates a lot with what they write on in terms of, their website, in terms of value systems. And of course, with the EVP that we have right now, I generally do feel that there are companies out there that really focus a lot on their people as well as employees.
Yeah. Wow. So it's going to be your 10-year mark next year.
Yes.
Wow, that's really very long. Yeah. So I think we are looking at the time now. We have 5 more minutes left. So I think there's one question that I think I can help to address. So there are some questions that are coming in who's asking like, which companies in F&B that are women and senior friendly. So I think I can help to answer that. And also, I think a lot of questions also came in online, whether senior workers actually stand a chance on being employed. So just to share a little bit more, actually E2I, L-Hub and NTUC WAF, we are actually holding this virtual career fair. So actually this virtual career fair actually features a progressive employer. So they actually offer progressive job opportunities with flexible work arrangements, part-time roles, so on and so forth. So we actually shortlisted these companies. Perhaps you could take a look and check out our socials for the website to apply for these jobs. That's a consideration for you. And also for NTUC side, we also have this unit called USME. So for USME, what we are trying to do is that we are also trying to get these companies to be more progressive, to hire women workers and also older workers. So if you need any assistance, please feel free to check our NTUC Women and Family Facebook page and social. Reach out to us. We can help you. We can help you from there also. Yeah, so I think any more questions coming through? If not, any parting words from Chai-Ling yourself or from our L-Hub colleagues? Anything else to share?
Hi. Yes, hi, this is Linus from NTUC Learning Hub, and I want to say thank you to Chai-Ling for sharing such valuable words. So based on what I've heard from Chai-Ling, I feel that the most important takeaway for today's conversation is in your resume, state your achievements instead of what you do. And of course, Angeline was also sharing that we have this virtual career fair that is for women to connect you guys with progressive employers to slowly ease back into the workforce. And the career resilient workshop will share with you tips how to write your resume better, because Chai-Ling was also saying about it's how you present yourself to the employers, to the hiring managers. So all in all, we have Chai-Ling who shares her expertise, and then we have programs and options for women to consider if you feel you want to go back to the workforce, but these are the things that you are lacking. So you can actually reach out to us. In terms of skill sets, we are here and happy to help you. But of course, if you have questions that you are not sure that's pertaining to women, Angeline's team will be there to facilitate assistance. So we just want to share with you guys as the people who are here today that you have our support. We will try as much as we can to give you the tips, the skills to slowly move back into working again. So thank you very much, Chai-Ling, and thank you very much, Angeline, for taking time together with us to go through what are the things to take note and what are the things to avoid so that we can have a more fruitful and more achievable resume or getting back to the workforce. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Please stay close to our socials, and as usual, I think there are quite a lot of avenues out here, but please do not hesitate to holler and reach out to any one of us here. We will direct it to the correct party and you'll definitely receive assistance from us. So after today's session, you will also be receiving a series of emails as a follow-up from after today. So
yes, that's right.
Yeah. So anything else to add from Chai-Ling? If not, otherwise, I wish everyone to stay safe, take good care physically and mentally. And I like this sentence that Chai-Ling actually mentioned earlier, which is be kind to yourself as always. Remember to stay well, okay?
Yeah.
So I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.